Welcome
to
to
Everything
Everything
But
But
the
the
Cats,
Cats,
the
where
show that the cats dragged in.
where we talk about the thing that got dragged in and not the cat. I'm what the cat dragged in today.
Great.
Awesome.
And today we are joined by our friend Adelay.
Hi, I'm Adelay.
And yeah, so what are we? What are we doing today? Anyone who wants to answer?
We're talking about.
Today,
Oh, go ahead.
I have I've been asked actually many months ago to give you the lowdown, basically, on professional hockey.
Sweet. And as all of you listeners know, Everything But the Cats is kind of the premier hockey podcast. Um, so
It
we are
is.
excited to
We know.
to
We know just about
yeah.
everything about all sports. Actually, we're the preeminent voice on how to do sports.
Oh yeah.
So I
Even
wonder how many listeners we've lost right now by this moment.
I would
Uh,
guess, based on metrics that I've been looking at, most.
if you're still here right now, you've made it through the hardest part of the show. So thank you for that. Uh, like I said, we're going to be talking about hockey today. Adelaide is going to be, teaching us things, correcting us where we're wrong,
Mhm.
which will probably be in a lot of places. And yeah, so we're excited to do this. So how should we jump into this?
Tell me what you already know about hockey.
So basically everything. They play on ice. They wear
Mm-hmm.
skates. I don't know if that's what they call them. They have a hockey stick, and the
Mm-hmm.
goal. I think it's what. It's 5-on-5, right? You normally have like two forwards, or is everybody a forward? Is it 5-on-5?
No, it is 5-on-5, and
Okay.
you have one goaltender.
Goalie. And are the four others forwards, or are they like defenders?
Goalie and goalie and five skaters.
Goalie and five skaters. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But
kind of
it
like
is
the.
called 5-on-5 because the goalie is kind of a given, unless there's special situations. But we'll get into that.
So it's kind of like the
Um,
whole you have four fingers, one thumb kind of thing.
sure,
But
yeah,
5 fingers and a thumb would be the
yeah.
idea.
But
You have polydactyly in this hypothetical.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you
Sorry.
actually have three forwards, two defensemen
Okay.
in your five-man squad, and that is what you're going to be drafting later today.
I'm excited. If there's anything DJ and I know how to do, it's draft.
You've done it on this show, what, how many times now? Like twice?
Once.
Once. Oh, it was just football. I forget. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know where I was going with that joke, but honestly, with everything in this podcast, we do it about one time, and then our experts on it. So it's kind of how it
Isn't that
goes.
how it just, like, that's how it works, right? You just do it once. You only need one time.
That's just what being a podcaster is. It's doing
I
something.
do.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, well, I should not. Woody's being Woody.
Oh, Woody.
Wait, I think he's done being. Nope. Okay. All right.
If I had $1 for every time Woody was being Woody, I'd have a lot
You
of
would have
dollars.
infinite money.
Or would I only have one?
I would say $1
Because technically,
is how I'd
Woody.
vote, but I could be defeated in this argument. I was gonna say I do have a tendency when I'm learning new skills. I don't really like to. I don't really like to like start with kind of the like if you're learning to crochet. When I learned to crochet, I started with like a stuffed cow. Excuse me, because at the end of it, I was gonna have a stuffed cow instead of some little square. Uh, and so I feel like the idea of us doing something one time and being experts, like I'm here for it. The cow was terrible, to be clear. But if I'm gonna do something once and be an expert, like I'm all about it. The one thing I know about hockey is that it's probably not the most violent sport because they're like boxing exists, but I think it's more violent than maybe some of the other sports like it. Like I know that it's a puck, not a ball, but like maybe more violent than other like chase the object type sports.
That say that's fair to say. I don't know if boxing necessarily is what I would compare the level of violence to. I would say maybe rugby instead.
So the other thing I know about hockey is that what is it? They do this thing. It's never actually happened, but they have this rule where it's like sudden death, where if you get to a certain point and it's still a drawn game, they'll put like what, three pucks on the ice? Isn't that what it is?
It's something like that, yeah. But yes, it was a tweet or a Tumblr post, I forget which, because Tumblr would definitely post something like this, where they were
Mm.
saying, oh, you know, because in the playoffs, the rules for ties change, where instead of doing in the regular season a 5 minute overtime, and then if nobody scores, you go to a shootout. In the playoffs, they just keep doing 20-minute overtimes until someone scores. People have
Oh.
joked that the rules change depending on how many overtimes you can get to. I don't know if the seventh overtime is the one where they joke that you drop the second puck and just let them go at it. But we've never had 7 overtimes before, so we don't know if that's real.
In my opinion, every sport needs a seventh overtime,
That's so real.
where they add a second object of play.
Do you just wait? So for like baseball, would you have the relief pitcher and the starting pitcher both pitch at the same time?
Yes, and in tennis, rather than bringing out a second ball, you bring out a second racket.
So it's one person like
Yep,
dual wielding rackets? Okay.
both people dual wielding rackets.
Oh, both people do wielding. Yes.
Yeah, but you got to be extremely skilled, or the exact opposite of extremely skilled to get to that point.
I love this idea now.
Football's when they bring out the second kicker. Nothing else,
Uh,
just another kicker on the field.
Soccer, everyone puts on one more cleat. It's like
Where you
one
put it
foot.
is up to you.
That's true. I was gonna say 1 foot,
Oh
two
my
cleats,
god.
but
It could go on your hand, it could go on your head, you could like tie it to your leg.
man, can you imagine how overpowered a cleat on your head would be?
Oh,
It's a header, but with all the force of a kick. I'm pretty sure is exactly how it works.
it's the transitive property. That's always how it works.
Yeah,
For cricket, they just
they
bring out.
unleash the crickets. Just tens of thousands of them.
A swarm.
If it were mosquitoes, that would be enough to drain a person. Or it would be the Army Chemical Corps doing it. Who knows?
Who knows?
So hockey. I really don't know a lot. I know that you are allowed to get your hockey stick like under the puck and swing it around to throw it in the net, basically.
You can do that. There's a specific move behind the net that you can do that has a special name because it's so like cool, I guess, to do that. Or you can just like flip it up into the air and hope someone on your team is the one to like catch it and put it down on the ice. You can't hold the puck. You can't close your fist around it, But if it's in the air and you just like catch it on your palm and then drop it on the ice immediately, then that's like it's fine.
Okay.
Otherwise, they call it a hand pass.
That's awesome.
Well,
But if you're like scooping it up on the blade of your stick and then like wrapping it around into the net, that's called a Michigan, if
Man,
that's what you're thinking of.
that's not what I would have called it.
Named after famous hockey player
Dirk?
Tim Michigan.
Oh, I was gonna say
Yeah,
Dirk.
yeah. Tim Michigan.
I
There's
feel,
like an award named after him.
I feel like
And
Dirk,
maybe
Michigan.
a state and several schools.
Oh
Yeah.
man, my favorite states are the ones named after guys named Tim. Good old Tim, Kansas. Tim, Virginia.
Man.
Tim, West Virginia.
I wonder how many states do we have that aren't named after like either some European place or like Native Americans.
New
Is
Mexico.
that like 2
I feel like New
or
Mexico's got to
Tim's?
be one. Darn, that one's named after a Tim too. Never mind.
Ah, dang.
I don't know. New Jersey and New York, named after Jersey and York.
Hmm.
What's California named after?
Tim, California.
Dang.
So yeah, like I said, we're the premier hockey podcast. All things hockey. That's us. We dabble in states, so that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Hockey is played in. Is it 3 periods instead of like quarters or anything like
Yes,
that?
it is 3 20-minute periods with 2 20-minute intermissions in between each period.
Okay.
So if you go to
So
a hockey game, you're going to be there for like 4 hours.
that's fun. I was wondering like what the like broadcast time is like or what that looks like.
Broadcast time is a bit different. They have commercial breaks, TV breaks built into the periods a little bit. So there's one kind of at the 5-minute mark into a period, and then at 10, and then at 15. And they vary in length, but
Sweet. And is that
about
like player? Sorry.
no, it's just like how national sport or like professional sports are all broadcasted. They have TV breaks built in.
Sweet.
Did I make you forget what you were gonna ask?
No. I've never. I don't know that I've ever seen like a. Well, I've gone to a couple games, I guess. So like, is that like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, is that like players off the ice at that point? Like everyone go sit down, it's commercial time, or like are they still
It's
playing?
they don't sit down on the bench because that would like take too much time, but they do skate over to the bench while the ice crew comes out with like big snow shovels and does a little bit of maintenance on the ice. That usually only happens at like the halfway point in the period. At 5 and 15, they just kind of skate over to the bench and wait a couple minutes for some commercials to play, and then the game is back on. At that halfway point, they fully like go basically take a water break while the ice crew cleans up the ice.
Gotcha. With Zambonis, or is it
No, the Zambonis don't come out until the end of the period.
okay?
The
Cool.
Zambonis run during intermission, but the ice usually needs a little bit of maintenance because if you've ever ice skated before, you know that a bunch of people on skates is going to rough the ice up a lot, and you're going to see where it turns into like snow basically. Speed, and they're like stopping and doing turns and all the, like they're playing a game and it's violent and fast, so they need a little extra maintenance on the ice.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Is there a similar level of maintenance? I'm guessing not. If it's not being like broadcast, I'd guess there's not a similar level of maintenance during like a high school game.
I don't know about high school. I know during college games it's basically the same. Like they still hire cheerleaders or ice crew for college. They have at least someone volunteer to clean up the ice a little bit for a high school game.
That's fair. I do want to ask. I think that raises the question: Uh, is in hockey is cheerleader and ice crew, are those interchangeable? Like, do they serve the same purpose?
Sometimes there's crossover between them, but cheerleaders are usually like during the game they're up in the stands, like on the
Mhm.
stairways. And I think sometimes they do kind of an intermission performance. I've never been able to see one except at like preseason games
Gotcha.
or lower levels. But Ice Crew is different. They have to stay kind of in the Zamboni tunnel so that they can go out and scrape the ice. But I am sure that there are people who do both.
That's fair. That's funny.
I'm still just over here like mind blown that high school hockey is a thing. Like I've never imagined
Mhm.
that being a thing. And I know it
it's
is.
it's very different. A lot of junior and high school leagues don't allow checking at all. So you're not going to have 14-year-olds like obliterating each other against the boards.
Oh, I thought you meant people from Chechia weren't allowed.
Yeah.
Czechs are actually pretty good at hockey. There's
My internet really hates the Czech Republic because every time we start talking about how they're
No
actually
way.
good at hockey, it freezes.
leave it, leave it, leave it.
Gage, did you have anything else that you know about hockey?
I know that at one point when we were in high school, you and I played a Nintendo DS game that was hockey, and I believe we played against each other on like either a church trip or a soccer or tennis thing.
Man,
Or
I
maybe it was
had
an
a DS
emulator
game.
on your computer. Maybe it was an emulator on your laptop.
Oh, okay, that would make
I
sense.
mean, a completely legal way to play a hockey game on your
Yeah,
laptop.
Oh
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
I know I know Marcus had a like just a hockey game on his Xbox at one point. So maybe it was that. I don't remember. I don't remember this.
We were in a moving vehicle.
No, well, was not the Xbox. Man.
That's all I remember though. I don't remember any other factors of it. I just remember we tried
Yeah.
it and I like didn't like sports games at the time, so I was like this is boring and then I played it and I was like this is kind of fun and then never
Yeah.
played it again.
I didn't
That's fair.
remember it. So
That's a good
I'm
point.
sure it wasn't boring. I'm sure it was very interesting.
Yeah. So
What
that's what
sorry.
I know.
One I guess one last question. So Gage and I played soccer, and
Mhm.
playing soccer, you're just gonna get roasted into oblivion for like playing a sport that isn't football or like basketball. What are there any like stereotypes about hockey or like any sort of like yeah like just what I feel weird asking it this way because like it's not the question I'm going to ask like what bullying do hockey players face like how do you bully a hockey player, but
Ooh.
that's not what I mean to ask. I'm not trying to enable bullies.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying though. I I don't know. Hockey players bully each other. Chirping
mm,
is like a part of the game on the
mhm,
ice. You are there, pardon my French, to talk shit in between plays. And even during plays. Like it's part of the culture.
yeah,
And I think people outside of hockey would say like, "Oh, it's not actually that tough of a sport. Like I could do that, stuff like that." But then you see like they're losing teeth, my guy. Most hockey players have probably lost a tooth or have one fake tooth.
mm,
So I don't understand like that side of things. Um, yeah, I don't know how you bully a hockey player either because they will probably beat you up.
yeah. I if I ever accidentally find myself in the middle of a hockey game, like something has gone so wrong because that's the last place I like would ever want to be, because I'd be afraid for my own
Hmm.
safety. I do like so I know kind of the sports term chirping. But I do like imagining every time I hear it, like whether it's baseball, hockey, whatever, just people like making bird noises at each other and getting real upset about it. But I'm guessing that's not the case. So,
Unfortunately, no, it's not.
man.
I feel like that
People
should be.
actually, one of my favorite chirps that has ever been recorded is, I don't even remember the player that dealt it. He called another player a pigeon and then made pigeon noises at him. So I think that's as close as you're gonna get.
That's pretty quality. I'll take that.
That's the best chirp I've ever heard.
Is there like context? Like, was that like an actual working insult in some way?
I don't know because I haven't heard it since.
That's
I'm
fair.
also from the same team. I swear it was a player on the Bruins. Insulted someone else by calling them a milk drinker. You have to get creative with it.
That's fair.
Milk drinker is not what I expected, but it exists.
Mhm.
Okay.
Man,
That reminds me
wild.
of mouth breather, but I understand that insult at least a little bit.
That's kind of fair,
But I
but I think they're all
understand.
breathing through their mouths during the game.
I mean, if you're, yeah, yeah.
Some of them barely wear their mouth guards at all. It's more of a set piece than anything. Cough, cough, Matthew Kachuk. Keep that thing in your mouth. Anyway, sorry.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that exact sentence.
Anyways,
Anyway, are you guys ready to draft some guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
call us Vietnam era United States Army.
I'm not calling you that. But
That's fair.
okay. So the way that I've set this up, I have like all of the forwards in kind of a straight line. And then I have defense and then I have goaltenders. So
Mhm.
what your task is you are going to build just a single squad. You're going to need 3 forwards, which is a line, 2 defensemen, which is a pair, and then I will ask you to draft 2 goalies, even though only one of them can play, because technically you need to have a backup goaltender on your bench at all times. So
Now, real
what I
quick,
have.
this does remind me of one of the things I feel like I know about hockey. If you don't have a goalie on hand, you can bring in someone from the audience. Is that
Yes,
okay?
tech. They're technically not part of the audience. Every arena has an EBUG, which stands for Emergency Backup Goaltender. And it is someone who they have certain requirements where they can't have ever played professionally in any case,
Awesome.
but who has played goalie before.
Okay.
My favorite example of this is a Zamboni driver who worked for the Toronto Maple Leafs, was working during the game against the Carolina Hurricanes, and both of the Hurricanes goalies got injured during the game. So David Ayers, Zamboni driver, had to fill in as the Canes goaltender, even though he worked for the Maple Leafs, who were the home team. And then the Maple Leafs lost that game to an emergency backup goaltender who
Yikes.
worked for them. My favorite video in the whole world is Steve Dangle, who reviews Maple Leafs games, like freaking out about it. It's so good. I have it bookmarked. I don't know if you could see it in my browser.
I'll
Here.
yes, I can. Lost to a Zambo.
Okay.
And that's awesome.
I love that.
All right. Forwards. I don't know how much like presenting that I need to do.
Woody chose Jake Neighbors.
Woody, okay, Woody gets Jake Neighbors. Okay.
Okay, so we got the
I
Edmonton
seriously
Oil Kings.
That's who he played with in the WHL, and they won a championship with him as their captain.
I love the name.
Yes, the Oil Kings are great. He was drafted by the St. Louis Blues, is still with the St. Louis Blues 4 years later. Hopefully he will be with them forever. My beloved Blues. I love them so much. Anyway, I'm still figuring out how much I actually need to say out loud about these guys.
Don't give us too much, because I want you to judge us based
Okay.
on our lack of knowledge.
Oh, up in this corner here, I have the amount of Stanley Cups that they have won. Anyway, my next guy is Matthew Tkachuk, who I made a joke about earlier. He's terrible, and people love him,
Is the
and
T
he's great.
silent?
Yeah, technically. Can you believe that a man with the last name Tkachuk was born in Scottsdale, Arizona?
Yeah, it's Scottsdale.
What was I gonna say? Oh, earlier you said, and I quote, "He's terrible." I'm gonna file that away. I think.
You think, okay. I will let you know. The Stanley Cup Finals for this year just concluded on Monday, and he won this one cup that I have indicated here was won this year.
Okay.
If that changes your filing away of he was terrible.
He is also called the Rat King. Is Does it say too much about him to say why he's called the Rat King?
Being a rat in hockey is not uncommon. He's he's got the chirps, is what I'll say.
Gotcha.
It's also not that uncommon in 1400s Europe.
This is true. We also call him Ratthew instead of Matthew. Just put the rat at the beginning of his name.
Okay.
He
That's
deserves
fun.
it.
He deserves it.
Next is Connor McDavid.
Oh my gosh.
Stop me if
Those
you've heard of him
nicknames.
before. There's more. There are so many more. One of
The
the things
chosen
that
one?
one of the things that I do in my spare time is go to the Wikipedia page for hockey nicknames and just like maintain it, like add new ones when a new player like comes up to the NHL and they have like a fun nickname.
Okay.
One of the ones that's listed for Connor McDavid is Collarbone McBroken because his rookie year was ruined by the fact that he broke his collarbone in the middle of a game. He's kind of a tragic character, honestly.
Gosh.
That's could I get a little insight into and again if it says too much, that's okay. I would like a little insight into McJesus or the chosen one.
So he is considered a generational talent in the league.
Ibs.
Hey, not till the end, DJ.
I have put so many like top of the line players in here. I tried to keep it balanced between like legends and rookies that I just adore personally. So you will have a good balance of both, and I hope it ends up working out to where you take a few of each. I don't know.
We'll see.
Anyway, we'll see. Yeah. This is Pavel Buchnevich, and I just threw him in here because I love him so much.
Okay.
In fact, I am wearing his jersey, number 89.
And
I do understand his nicknames.
Right.
Put those ones down.
Usually a hockey nickname is just a shortening of their name, but then if they do something quirky or something happens to them, like they get stuck with a nickname. There's one player who is currently on the Bruins, I want to say. Did he get traded to the Bruins? I forget. Anyway, he got the nickname Cookie because when he was traded to the Panthers before the playoffs one year, he asked where like a box of cookies would be before the game because his part of his routine, and hockey players are very superstitious about their routines, was to have a cookie before the game. So everyone just started calling him Cookie, and it stuck.
Man, that's fun. And sometimes you do something quirky like break your collarbone.
That's what I was gonna say.
Don't think any of his teammates called him that, but
It-
it is funny to think that they did. The next person I have on here is Jeff Skinner. I definitely took into account nicknames when I was making this list, but specifically with this guy, so for a little tiny bit of context, some teams, instead of having a one goal song for any player that scores a goal, they have individual goal songs for each player. Jeff Skinner's goal song is Breaking Free from High School Musical.
I love it.
This man is 32.
Here's
His goal song is Breaking Free.
Love that.
that's a
He's
good
an icon.
choice.
If he didn't have the last name Skinner, I would wonder where he got the nickname Skins from. But I feel pretty confident.
See, but nothing I've heard so far explains the Justin Bieber of hockey.
I don't remember where that quote came from. I think someone just really didn't like Jeff Skinner. This next guy is Nathan McKinnon. He does have a Stanley Cup. The Avalanche won in 2022.
I have heard his name.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, there's one. I'm gonna keep track of how many people you've actually heard of before because I tried to put some like big names in here.
Here's the thing. He's from the Halifax Mooseheads. Like, of course I've heard of him.
Oh, true. Yeah.
No, but unless you say Wayne Gretzky, it's very unlikely I'm going to recognize any names otherwise. But I know I've heard Nathan McKinnon. Or the
Wayne
dude
Gretzky...
from... What's the show?
What show?
The show about the people who live like in Minnesota or whatever, and one of them's on a hockey team, and they made a second show about the hockey team.
Are you talking about Letterkenny and Shoresy?
Yes!
Okay. Does not take place in Minnesota. It takes place in Ontario.
Same thing.
Tell that to the angry Canadians who watch your show. They're going to be so mad at you now.
Man, find me in Mississippi.
If I ever find myself in the middle of a fight that's just me and a bunch of Canadians, I'll know I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I've arrived.
I know where I'm putting my money.
Where are you putting your money?
Probably anyone other than me.
That's fair. It'd be interesting to... I don't know a lot about Canada, so it'd be interesting to like see like kind of the feistiness levels of like the average Canadian versus like Canadian who lives here, Canadian who's a fan of hockey.
That's a fair thing.
I've never heard... Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I've never heard of this man in my life.
That's super fair. Our next man is Alex Ovechkin. He's old, basically, is what people know him for at this point. He's old, and he's the player who has come the closest to tying Wayne Gretzky's all-time points record. Or he already did tie it, I don't remember.
Dibs.
He's so old it says he was born in the USSR.
I know. That's why you have to, like, he's old. He could retire literally any one of these years now. But also, he's a good scorer. So that's why I gave you that piece of information and didn't just leave it at he's old.
I feel like maybe I've heard of him.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Okay.
I was in a hotel once, and like the TV happened to be on a documentary about some hockey player, and I let it play, and it may have been him. It could have been anyone else too, but it may have been him.
Might have been Alexander Ovechkin. That's super fair.
I love how it goes from the Russian machine to the mechanic.
I don't know what the context was around that. I think the Russian machine was just, he's like cranking out goals. Like he just scores every time he shoots. He's a machine. Also, he's Russian.
If I had $1 for
Our
every time I've
next
heard a Russian
guy,
story about machines.
this is Jack Hughes.
Mhm.
He's part of a trio of brothers, all of whom I've included in this draft, just because I thought it would be fun. There are many brother dynamics in the NHL. It's kind of funny to see how many like legacies there are.
So the
Nepo
letters,
babies.
Nepo babies, honestly.
the zoom makes it a little bit blurry. It sounds like it looks like his second nickname is the Big Deaf. And I don't I don't think that's right.
It says the big deal,
Okay.
and that nickname comes from a clip where it makes him look so bad because the Devils lost the game that he said this before. He's like, I'm a big deal. People pay to watch me.
Oh
Like, Jack,
gosh. Oh.
come on, man.
Yeah. It's
He's
so good.
he's a
Sorry.
little more humble about it now, but like, he's a, he's 23.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
he's
Just
still
a boy.
young. Just a boy.
He's just a boy.
Man. The alternative is that he's just a big deaf man, and the nickname they have for him is the Big Deaf.
He's not even big.
Yeah, I didn't.
5'11".
Sure.
I mean, 5'11's above average.
Not for a hockey player.
Oh, that's fair.
The Little Deaf.
The little deaf.
Well, it's like when someone says the big sad or something like that. That's kind of how I imagined it. It's like the big deaf.
The big deaf. Yes. He's sad and deaf.
Yeah.
So you may recognize this name. Out of all of the names on this slideshow, this would be the most likely that you would recognize. I would think.
You were right. I may recognize it.
Yeah.
I also may not.
You think I wouldn't
Oh.
recognize the name Daryl? Of course I recognize the name Daryl.
Daryl. Yep. Daryl.
Wait, is that one of his nicknames?
It
Why
is.
is
That's
that
one of his
his
nicknames. I forget
nicknames?
why. He has so many because he's such a character. Oh, Sid.
I like the next one.
So that Sidney Crosby is also considered a generational talent. He's a little older than Connor McDavid, so like it counts. He's like 10 years older, I think. Wayne Gretzky's nickname was the Great One. So the next big talent after Gretzky retired was Sidney Crosby. Hence the next one. And then that also ties into Connor McDavid's The Chosen One.
Okay.
Since he is currently and has always played for the same team that Wayne Gretzky was signed to first. Because Wayne Gretzky, fun fact, was not drafted. He was a free agent when he went to the Edmonton Oilers. And I think that's cool even if you don't know what it means.
Well, so there's a football player. I don't remember his name at this point, but he's like a Hall of Famer quarterback who like was a walk-on for the Colts.
That would basically be the same thing, yeah.
Okay.
There's that football coach who was just hired recently. I don't know if you guys heard about this. He played football professionally, was an analyst on ESPN, but his only coaching experience was that he volunteered and coached his his son's fourth grade team, and was hired to be like a head coach in the NFL or something like that.
That reminds
It was
me
like
of
this year.
That reminds me of a story of this guy. See, his only experience being a coach was like American football, right? And he took a college football team to a national championship that doesn't exist anymore. And then some Premier League football club decided they wanted to take him on as manager. They made a show about it. It was incredible. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
That
Mm-hmm.
guy lived in Fort Scott for a little bit.
He did.
That guy's a KU fan.
Unfortunate.
The next guy that I have for you is a baby. This is a baby.
Oh yeah.
His name is Connor Bedard. He is 18 years old. He's younger than me, which I find crazy because I still think of myself as very young.
I found myself, so I started watching soccer when I was 18, and I would see these players who were 16 making millions of dollars a year in like Spain and Germany. I was like, man, when I was 16, I was not doing that. And now I'm 28, and it's worse.
Anyway,
Okay.
I will give you the context around Bedsy because his nicknames are not listed. That he won the Calder Trophy this year, which means out of all the rookies in his draft class that played in the NHL this year, or I guess everyone who had a rookie season this year, he was the best one. I did
Okay.
not look at his stats to compare him to how his fellow rookies did, but he was the best one this year, I guess.
Okay. I'm noticing there's a good number of Connors.
There's a weird amount of Connors in the NHL. I can think of at least like 3 more off the top of my head.
Okay.
Okay, next we have Mitch Marner, who also has like a bunch of nicknames.
Bruno Martins.
Bruno Mars.
Mickey Mouse?
So, context kind of around his character. He's one of the star players of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he's also the scapegoat for why the Leafs suck right now.
Ooh.
And they only suck by Leafs standards, which means they can get into the playoffs, but then they're a first or second round exit.
Mm.
So success is, subjective. Leafs fans are harder on I guess Toronto fans are harder on their teams in general than some other franchises are.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right. And then the last person that I have for forwards is Brady Tkachuk, brother of Matthew.
Mm.
Less successful brother of Matthew. Just as ratty, honestly, he just doesn't have the nicknames to show for it. I saw a post this morning that compared the Tkachuk brothers to the Hughes brothers, who I mentioned earlier. It said something along the lines of, when the Hughes brothers meet up, or they called it like the Hughes Bowl, which is when 2 of the brothers are on the same team and then the one's not. So when those 2 teams play, the Hughes Bowl happens. Like, that's what it's called. And when the Hughes play each other, it's like a family reunion. But when the Tkachuk Bowl happens, it's a Cain and Abel situation.
Oof.
Oh.
They're awful to each other on the ice. What makes it funnier is usually their grandparents are in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So the camera will find them and cut to them during fights. And they know that they're not allowed to fight each other directly, so they just get their teammates riled up instead. And then their teammates fight each other. The last time that the Senators played the Panthers, there was basically the equivalent of a bench clearing brawl. Everyone was involved on behalf of the Tkachuk brothers. And
That's
Matthew
wild.
wasn't even. So the call on the ice that resulted after this was everyone on the ice gets a 10-minute misconduct, among other penalties.
Oh.
But the irony is that Matthew Tkachuk was not on the ice because he was already in the penalty box.
Man. That's so good. So I obviously understand how like hockey penalties work because we're kind of the preeminent podcast. But for like the 2 people that are still listening after the introduction, that if they don't know what just how hockey penalties work, how would you explain it to them? Not me, because I already know, but like to them.
Penalties in general, the ref goes, you can't do that. And then based on severity and type of penalty, assigns an amount of minutes for them to sit. It's either 2, 4, or for fighting majors, it's 5. But then any sort of like a game misconduct, it's 10, and usually they just go to the locker room at that point. But so your usual like high sticking, tripping, stuff like that is just 2. Anything that draws blood is 4, and then fighting is 5.
Draws blood is 4. That's wild. So if
Yeah,
if it's 10 minutes, so the idea is you go sit in the box for 10 minutes of playtime, and then you're good to come out after that, right?
yes, but usually if they're assigning 10-minute misconducts, they have them go straight to the locker room instead,
Okay.
just so that, and then they keep 5 men on the ice. They don't go down a player and go on the penalty kill. They just send them away. They go to timeout in their locker room, basically.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So for the shorter penalties, are you playing down a person then?
Yes.
Okay.
So if one of your players commits a penalty, they have to sit in the box for 2 minutes while their penalty kill tries to keep the other team, who still has 5 men on the ice, from scoring.
Okay.
So if the ref had given, all right, everyone that was on the ice, 5 minute penalty.
That's a good question. I don't know what they would do. I think if 5 people have all gotten a penalty, they would set those players in the locker room and maybe play like 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. I don't know, because it depends. And the refs have a lot of leeway. They have
Yeah.
headsets in one corner of the rink where they can go talk to the NHL headquarters directly. And I feel like that is a situation where they would ask HQ what to do.
Just a one-on-one with e-bugs.
I would actually pay money to see that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
a one-on-one with e-bugs sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like some streamer that you would get to pay to go on a date with or something. E-bugs.
What we heard was
Say
a
all of that
one-on-one with
again.
e-bugs. ... E-bugs.
Man, I wish the part that you got was recorded. Because that's funnier than
Uh-huh.
what I said.
It was pretty good.
I was like, a one-on-one with e-bugs sounds like a streamer, and like you're paying the top tier of their Patreon or whatever, and you get to like hang out
Mm,
one-on-one with them or something.
with
So
e-bugs.
ebugs is the
E-bugs.
streamer in this situation.
Yeah. Or it's a type of streamer. Someone
Yeah.
who like does what do they call them? Like the virtual ones where they have like an avatar that mimics their
Like a
movements and stuff.
VTuber.
A
Like a
VTuber.
VTuber, it's like a VTuber, but instead of that, it's bug. Like it's a bug. Like
Oh my
it's
gosh.
just like a cockroach or something sitting there talking for the person. Now, do we want to get through all the players, or do we want to draft our forwards and then do the defenders and then do the goaltenders?
I want to know who you have drafted so far so that I
So
can judge you as we go.
we should go back and forth and do our
Okay.
three. DJ, you go first.
Man, I feel like there's some good options here. I've written down kind of mostly nicknames instead of real names. Uh, I am just gonna launch in. I'm gonna take Squid Crosby.
Squid Crosby, of course.
I'm gonna take Connor McJesus.
That's fair.
McJesus is a very good pick.
Yeah.
I'm writing them down exactly as you say them, by the way.
Oh, good.
I'll take this. This is a fun nickname. Alex Ovechkin, or however that's pronounced.
Yeah,
The mechanic.
the mechanic.
I'm taking
The
Matthew
great eight.
Kachuk.
I'm writing down Rathu as his name because I refuse to type it all the way out.
Okay, go ahead, Rathu. I'm taking Rathu.
All right.
And then I'm taking the baby, the young one, Connor Bedard. That wasn't a
The
nickname. I
baby.
realized when I said the baby. Like, that wasn't a nickname. That's just what I wrote.
I'm writing it down as the baby as well. That's awesome.
Great. If you want to add that to Wikipedia,
I will definitely do that after this.
And then I'm taking Nathan McKinnon.
Nate Dogg. All right. We ready to draft some defensemen?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yay! The first one up is Cale Makar, known as the Kid Babyface, and all hail Cale.
I like the last one. My phone automatically auto-corrected kale to cake.
Same.
I have Cake McCarr.
Cake Makar.
Okay. What do I need to know
Usually,
about him?
when there's a post about him, like on someone's Instagram page, like on like Sportsnet, let's say, they will put a lettuce emoji after his name because kale is also a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Lettuce, technically, is also a term for facial hair, of which kale has none.
Same.
He's kind of one of him and Nathan McKinnon are kind of hockey robots. Like they have personalities, but they're layered underneath all of this like media training first of all, but also like the fact that hockey is the most important thing in their life, that it's the only thing that they know how to talk about in front of a camera. So it seems like they just kind of are one note kind of people, but I'm sure that they're not. That's just the way that they are recorded.
Robots are normally good at their sports.
Yeah, and you know what? They have a Stanley Cup to show for it. So like who am I to judge?
Man, neither do I. That came out weird.
That didn't really answer like what I was saying.
Yeah, neither do I.
I'm just gonna start answering things with that.
The next defenseman that I have is Colton Parayko. And he is, I don't know if you can tell by the picture that I chose for him, but he's the most like golden retriever person you have ever met. He loves life, you know?
Now, did you say you've met him?
I have not met him.
Okay.
I have not technically met any of these people. I've been in the same room as them before, some of them, because I've gone to NHL games, but I have not met them. The one thing to take note of with defensemen in general is usually the bigger the better. And Colton Parayko is 6'6", 228.
I was gonna say that's the biggest weight I've seen so far. And then I saw the
Yeah.
height and was like, that's the biggest height I've seen so far.
He's big. We had, I say we because I'm a Blues fan and he's on the Blues. We had a broadcaster for a long time named Darren Pang, who also played in the NHL for a very short amount of time. He was a goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks, and he was 5'5". And my favorite like media to ever grace the Blues like social media channels is just photos of Darren Pang standing next to Colton Parayko, especially if they have skates on, because he's so little and Colton is so tall.
There's
It's
there's
so
a
fun.
there's a picture out there in the soccer world. So goalkeepers have to be tall in soccer.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be normally the tallest guys on the field. There's this one for Italy named Gianluigi Donnarumma. Dude's massive. He's been a like top league goalkeeper since he was 16 years old. And like he's played at two humongous clubs and he's still only like 23 years old at this point, 24 maybe. But the dude's insane. Uh, and it's him standing next to his compatriot, his Italian teammate, Lorenzo Insigne. And Insigne is like 5'4" or something like that. He now actually plays for Toronto. Funny enough. But
Interesting.
yeah.
So my best kind of comparison is every once in a while I'll get pictures of like me standing next to my grandma. Uh and she used to be tall, but she's old now. Uh and much shorter than me.
Did you
That's
consider for an instance you holding your son?
Uh yeah, but like that's he's not like a normal sized human yet.
He's not a full grown human yet. Let's.
Yeah. I'm trying to get myself ahead of the cancellations. Uh Normal size human. That's any human that's older than like 4. Just to be clear.
that's a pretty good clarification, I think.
Thank you.
I feel
I
like
stand by that.
you're also taller than the average 5 year old.
Yeah. Yeah, but those pictures are pretty funny. So look how little this guy is.
Yeah.
So the next defenseman that I have is the oldest of the Hughes brothers. This is Quinn, and he is kind of known in at least hockey fandom as looking miserable all the time.
How can you
Like
be
there, I
miserable with a name like Huggy Bear?
it's just I don't know. So okay, warning you in advance. I'm briefly going to switch to a tab I have pulled up with some photos of Quinn on it on Tumblr because it's the best place to go for just out of context photos of hockey players. And
Gotcha.
we're just gonna flip through these really quick.
Hmm.
This one is
Poor
Oh
guy.
this
my
one is
gosh.
older, but like he's this is proof that he's always been like this.
Oh my goodness.
Someone hug that bear.
Honestly, he needs a hug.
He just,
Blood running down his face.
he just
I'm
always looks
sorry.
disappointed.
Yes, he does. This one is probably one of my favorites.
It's
Oh
pretty
my,
good. He got in trouble for a puck over glass.
yeah, sometimes you flip the puck up in the air, and if it goes over the glass and into the stands, you get a penalty for it.
Interesting.
Does the
I
fan that it
do,
hits get to keep the puck?
yes, yes, they do. There we go.
That's so funny.
My other favorite caption for that exact photo, because um, that shot from the camera came from the Canucks playoff series. I don't know if you can tell by the little scorecard in the corner. That was during a playoff game this year. And I, for the life of me, can't find this tweet, but they said he looks like the opposite of the lights are on, but no one's home. He's home and the lights are off. And that's the most accurate description of Quinn Hughes I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's a fun description. I'm gonna have to use
It's
that.
so good. He's so good. Anyway,
In case I don't
that's
get to draft him, I just want to say what I've written down as my nickname for him.
Please do.
In case I don't get to draft him. I have, and I quote, Quinner the Hug Boy, Ghost Watcher, Lacquer of Lights. So
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Lacquer of Lights is crazy.
DJ, you should
we'll
start.
see if I draft him.
The NHL should draft you as the nickname, dude.
They really
I'm just-
should.
I've consolidated, is all. Everyone's nickname is like 10 words long. Man.
You know what? Sometimes that's how it is. The next guy that I have is another favorite of mine. This is Mo. They don't have his nickname on here, but no one calls him Moritz. It's Mo or Moritz. He's German. I don't know how to say his name. That's why everyone calls him Mo.
Okay.
This is Mo Sider. He was I mentioned earlier that Connor Bedard won the Calder Trophy this year.
Mm-hmm.
The year that he was a rookie, which I think was 2021, he won the Calder as a rookie defenseman.
Okay.
And he has wonderful hair. Like this picture, I couldn't find one that really did it justice. He has great hair. I know Gage can't relate, but I felt like it was important to mention.
I could at one point. Still can, depending on who you're talking to.
I don't want to unpack what that means.
As someone with hair, I can confirm that he does have great hair. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
I was talking about Mo, to be clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Since I've got kind of a bit more expertise here than Gage does.
Audio listeners, if you haven't picked up on it yet, I'm bald.
He has a medical condition that we're making fun of.
He's more than bald, guys.
Picture the baldest person you've ever seen, but balder.
Skate.
That's him.
Yep. Gage is Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
Picture
Baldur's
one
Gage.
of those cats. One of those hairless cats. But like way less wrinkles, and like you would actually kind of want to hold a conversation with it. Like you're not compelled to immediately look away.
Have you seen
That's
the
Gage.
one Sphinx cat that's named Bingus?
Sure have not.
Sure haven't.
That's him.
This is Bingus.
That's Bingus.
Now you don't have to put the picture on the show. We can just use my camera.
Just use his webcam. Gage looks like Bingus. Quinn! Stop. I love that picture.
I feel like an old
Gage
person
is the
doing that.
Bingest of Sphinx cats.
Gage, thanks for being a good sport.
I'm gonna change my Instagram handle from Gadgeton to the Bingus of Sphinx Cats.
I messed up. I think it's the Bingus of humans, because Bingus is the Bingus of Sphinx cats.
The Bingus of humans.
Could just call yourself the Bingist, because like you don't get much more Bingus than Gage. Again, Gage, like hockey. Thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah.
One of my friends texted me the other day, "Good morning, Caillou."
Worth it.
What? That's so good. Gage, I'm going to say it again. Thanks for being a good sport.
Our next guy is someone who does not look like Caillou. This is Petro. He has won 2 Stanley Cups. One in 2019 as captain of the St. Louis Blues, and one last year in 2023 as an assistant captain for the Vegas Golden Knights.
And
he's great.
played. Sorry.
No, I just said he's great.
He's played for multiple teams with the mascot Ice Dogs.
So I'm wondering if Mississauga and Niagara Ice Dogs are the same team that had to be rebranded based on their location.
Gotcha.
I'm very interested in the answer to that because I don't know. That is my speculation.
Kind of like the St. Louis to the Los Angeles Rams.
Right, where they kept the same team name, but they had to move cities.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But Mississauga and Niagara are basically the same location anyway. Like they're both outside of Toronto, so
I would love it if it was like the Fort Scott Tigers and the Nevada Tigers. And they were just like, we don't want to come up with another name. Not only
Was
are we.
Nevada Tigers?
Yeah.
Man, I forgot
yeah,
that.
I think that's yeah.
The audacity.
Not only are we neighbors, we're neighbors.
I love it. The third and final Hughes brother. This is Luke. He's also baby. He's 20 years old. So he's not baby like Connor Bedard is, but he's the youngest brother of the Hughes. And he's also a rookie in the NHL. So
Okay.
he plays on the same team as his brother Jack, but he plays the same position as his oldest brother Luke or Quinn.
Sweet.
Too many of them.
Too many Hughes.
Too many Hughes. They're so colorful. Like there's way too many. It's kind of like it's too much.
Mm.
Bad joke.
That's me.
Okay, next we have someone
Yep.
who looks like a hockey player. He looks like
Dibs.
he plays hockey. He's got the flow. He's got the missing teeth. This is Drew Doughty.
And he plays for the Los
He
Angeles Kings.
he
Like,
plays for yes.
he looks like he was alive during the time of Kings.
He's 34, so like maybe.
There's literally like a king in England right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Potato, potato.
I don't think I have any like stories about him. He's won 2 cups, I think both with the Kings. He was drafted by them, and I don't think he's left. He's just been an LA King for his entire career.
Okay.
I think.
man,
No, that sounds right because he was yeah.
I mean, who knows? Gage is gonna choose this section first, so who knows if I get this guy or not. But the moment I saw him, I was like, he's the one.
I may have more grace than you think.
Gage's nope, never mind.
We also still have 3 more defensemen to get through as well. So
Okay.
How many missing teeth? How many teeth between the 3 of them total? Probably.
none of the next 3 guys have lost any teeth as far as I know.
Wow, good for them.
So next we have Brock Faber. He's another not rookie, but another newcomer to the NHL. He's 21. He plays for the Wild. Or he does right now. He was also drafted by the LA Kings. I did not know that.
45th overall.
How many teams are there?
32.
Cool.
Same as NFL.
Is there anything? So he's new. Is there anything about him? He doesn't have any nicknames to kind of riff on. So
The with the younger players, they leave off the nicknames, I think, until they really
Gotcha.
get known as that. I think a lot of his teammates call him Babs, just as a short version of his last name.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of made waves in the middle of the season as like an up and coming defenseman, but the thing about the Wild is that they suck right now. So he wasn't able to like fully come into his own as like a number 1 defenseman, which you wouldn't really expect him to do at his age anyway. But he's a young upstart. He has a lot of potential.
I feel like being a really good defender in a really bad team is like, it's difficult, because you get overlooked because of how bad the team can be, even if you're amazing as a defender.
Right.
Because like it takes more than one person to make or break a team, and I'm thinking of like soccer, because
Like us when we played soccer back when we were amazing, and
yeah, and the rest of the team wasn't.
uh,
Uh, but no, like we had like I'm trying to think. There was a team called Southampton, and a handful of years ago they had a player named Virgil van Dijk in their defense, and the team was not good, but he was such a good defender that he got bought by one of the biggest teams for just a ton of money, and he's gone on to win a lot of trophies with that team. um, but like it was hard to see because the team he was in was just around him just wasn't that great. So
Right. That's kind of the situation here as well.
okay.
But I he's here because I wanted to throw in another rookie,
Oh,
honestly. I
okay.
needed another name. But next is a guy who just won the cup, Brandon Montour. I don't think he has a fun nickname, unfortunately. His staying power is that he just won a cup.
You know what? That's more than I have.
This is true.
that's true. I drink from my hands. Like I don't own any cups, and I won't
Ooh,
until I earn them.
you don't have any cups and you don't have any bowls either because you could totally drink out of a bowl if you really wanted to.
Kind of feels like uh, accepting mediocrity.
Or do you have to win a bowl game before you let yourself have a bowl?
I do have to do that. Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of sports I kind of need to branch out into now that I'm almost 30.
Yeah, that's fair. You got to start somewhere, Never too
That's when
late.
when every athlete is hitting their prime,
Right.
30
We
years old.
did not just call a 38-year-old old in the last section.
Never.
Speaking
All
of
right.
old, Gage, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, gotta win the Super Bowl, but you can only use it for soup.
We so for the past 5 years or so, uh, probably about that, maybe longer actually, because it was before. I think 5 of the 6 past years, Angela and I have like either hosted or gone to Super Bowl parties and turned them into soup or bowl parties, where the idea is everyone brings soup and we just eat soup together. And so like we've either hosted it or someone's been like, "Hey, do you want to come to my Super Bowl party?" And we're like, "Hey," so we do this thing we call it Super Bowl party, and then they change their party to be a Super Bowl party.
I
Like 5 out of 6 years.
I went to one of those.
You did.
He's here because I love his hair.
That's valid.
And he's also won a bunch of awards for being a good defenseman. I will say that. He's one of those players that's in the same situation as Connor McDavid where they're a good player. They just don't have the right team around them to get them the Stanley Cup, because he was with the Sharks for so long and he was traded, I think, at the beginning of last year's offseason, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And for context, this year, without Erik Karlsson on the team, the Sharks were 32nd out of 32 teams at the end of the
Yikes.
year. They will be
Wow.
drafting first tonight at the draft.
Okay.
I didn't even mention that. Tonight is the NHL draft in
That's
Vegas.
wild.
Yeah.
I had zero clue.
I did too.
I didn't put it together until probably an hour after Gage texted me and was like, "Hey, do you want to be on an episode tomorrow?" And I'm like sitting here watching the award ceremony anyway. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that'll be fun." And then an hour goes by and someone's like, "Oh, I forgot tomorrow was the draft." I'm like, "Tomorrow
Bro,
is 2 drafts."
We're drafting on the
that's so
actual
fun.
draft day this time.
Man,
We are. We're
It's
right on time.
it's not gonna
Except
release on
all of
it.
these players were drafted, 20 years ago.
Yeah. We're
we
not
can
gonna.
release it right now. I think for him, we need a little context into who is Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr.
I've
Okay.
heard that name.
That's because he's a Bruins like legend, basically.
Mm.
The one most famous picture of Bobby Orr is him scoring a goal while like flying through the air over top of the goalie. Yes, he's just scored a goal and then been tripped by someone. I forget if it's
Mm.
the goalie's stick or not, but he just
Uh-huh.
scored a goal and then went like tripped and went flying. They have a statue of him outside of TD Garden of this exact pose of
So
Bobby
good.
Orr. It's awesome. It would sting less if this goal wasn't scored against my team, but
Mm.
it happened like decades before I was born, so it doesn't matter that much.
Fair.
It's a really cool piece of hockey history.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But
I
yeah,
like the picture.
it's a good picture. For the 70s, that's a great picture. But yeah, Erik Karlsson, that is all the defensemen that I have for you.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay.
My first pick, Colton Parayko.
Yeah. Perry. That's my guy. He's one of my guys.
And I quote, because he's the Swedish Bobby Orr. Bobby Organ Dorgan.
No, that was gonna be my second choice. That was my second choice. Dang. Okay. So my new second choice.
You waiting for a drum roll or?
No, I'm deciding between the two that I have at my number 2 spot. After that,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Alex Pietrangelo. Petragallo.
Petrangelo. Petrangelo.
Petrangelo. Alex Petrangelo. That's my
Okay.
second choice.
All right. Petro is a good pick. Perry and Petro, they've played on it. They won the cup in St. Louis together. That's really.
Hmm.
I'm glad that that happened. I didn't even realize I put them both in this draft. That's awesome.
All
My
right.
my other was Quinn Hughes.
Okay.
Hmm.
My second is, and I quote, Quinner the Hug Boy, Ghost Watcher, Lacquer of Lights, Sad Boy Hours, When Will My Dad Come Home?
I got that all. I wrote all of that down. I need that in my notes forever.
Great.
That's awesome.
So that's
See, Hughes and Carlson. Okay, we have a right. I just want to look at this for me. A right-handed shooter. Oh, actually, that works out. You have a righty and a lefty, and then, uh, unfortunately, Gage, Colton, and Alex both shoot right-handed, but I think we can get around that. They'll be fine together. They've played on a team together before. They'll work it out.
yeah.
All right, our next section is goaltending. Goalies are the heart and soul of a team, and they are also deeply, deeply weird people. You have to be a special kind of crazy to want to stop pucks that are coming at you at 90 miles per hour on average. Like,
It's wild.
have you ever like held a hockey puck ever?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I have one just so that you can see it up close. So this is my Kansas City Mavericks one. My hands are very small, but this is my hand for reference. Like,
Okay.
this is vulcanized rubber. Heavier than it looks, I feel like. I feel like people look at a hockey puck and they don't think it's very heavy. This is. Do either of you have like AirPods? It's like I'm holding two AirPods cases in my hand. It's heavier than you would think. Or it's about the weight of my phone, actually.
Okay.
I have a pacifier.
I have a phone.
Okay, it's about the weight of my phone. And obviously, to shoot the puck, the skaters have to like hit it with their stick into the goal. A really good defenseman with a wicked slap shot from the blue line can get that thing up to like 110 miles an hour into the net.
Yikes.
Okay.
Um, you have to be very special to want to get in the way of that. And the first special person that I have is Marc-Andre Fleury. This man is beloved by everyone in the league. No one ever has anything bad to say about the flower. He's kind of like Colton Pareko in that way, but he's also very, very fond of pranks.
Okay.
There are many, many videos of him while he was on the Penguins of him pranking his teammates while they were staying in hotels and at All-Star games, specifically when he meets up with his former teammates, doing things like wrapping his former teammates' gear in saran wrap, pouring things in their helmets so that they have to like scoop it out before they put them on. He's incredible.
Okay.
The flower.
The dude.
flower.
How precious.
He's the dude.
I like the name the dude.
The next person I have is the Blues' current goalie, Jordan Binnington.
Play it in front. Zuccarello has Eriksson. Got it through. They score. He found Hardman. And the Blues, Binnington coming after him. Hartman skated through.
So Binnington's in the middle of all this.
Area and clipped them on the way by in celebration.
And Fleury's over there.
Come
They're
all
gonna
the
go.
way down to drop the gloves. But the linesman has a hold of Binnington.
Oh, let him go. Holy
So the last guy I just showed you and Binnington want to go at it, and they don't let them. It was wrestling night. So the theme of that game was wrestling night, and they had Ric Flair in the building. They had Ric Flair read like the starting lineup in the locker room, and they did a whole video, and there was a bobblehead and everything, and they didn't let the goalies fight.
Oh, that's
And I'm
unfortunate.
kind of upset about it. That kind of sums up Jordan Binnington in one clip, honestly.
Okay.
Then the other video that I have on here is the same instance, but Fleury was wearing a microphone in his gear. So you get Fleury's perspective of it and what he was saying in the middle of all that.
Okay.
If you
Do it.
if you want to do it, okay.
Hey, let's go, let's go. Let's go. Hey, let's go. No, let's go. Come on. It'll be good.
It'll be good.
It's so good.
Get the crowd going a bit, you know? I'll just get my stuff on. I don't like having my hair like this, you know?
I don't know what the rest of that video is, but
I don't like having my hair like
That's-
this.
that's both of them kind of in a nutshell, honestly.
That's
so
a good
funny.
nutshell.
It's a great nutshell. But yeah, that's Benner.
Okay.
He's something else. He's kind of the league's villain a little bit because he does that kind of thing often enough to be in like headlines, but also not as often as people think he does. I'm kind of defending him because I'm a Blues fan, but he also is that guy that will just go at it for no reason. The next two goalies that I have are just kind of general, like these are the big names right now in NHL goaltending. This is Igor Shesterkin, or Shesty. He's just generally a very good goalie, even though he's 28.
Okay, you say even though he's 28, does that mean he's like...
He's kind
Gage
of
and I
good
are
at-
28.
So I say that, but like at the same time, 28 is kind of an average age for goalies. It's not old by goalie standards because goalies are generally older than skaters are, but it's also the age when you see them start slowing down because they're usually goalies aren't added to the team fully, like even as a backup until they're maybe 22 or 23, whereas skaters can come in if they're at that level already. As you saw with Connor Bedard, he's only 18. He's already playing. He's already played a full season. Goalies just generally take longer to develop, and you also need less of them because you're only really carrying 2 or 3 goalies with your team. But you know, goalie lore.
Yeah, so like in soccer, if you get to your like mid 30s as an outfield player, you're getting old, like to the point where you might be thinking about retiring. But mid 30s for a goalkeeper in soccer is fairly like that's prime age.
Yeah, I said that, but I guess I didn't mean it.
No, you just had to get a dig in on DJ and I.
You caught me. Sorry,
And
man.
he's pretty good, even though he's a literal dinosaur.
I do have a video for Shesty just because it's kind of iconic. If you
Okay.
want to change your thing around again.
Yeah. So,
I don't know what your whole deal is. Oh, this is a short.
oh, then
Gosh
that'll be
dang it, I
fine.
hate. That was the Rangers pregame ritual when they had Ryan Reeves on the team. But Ryan Reeves doesn't play for the Rangers anymore. This is Andrei Vasilevsky. He has won several, I think he's won a couple of Vezina awards, which is basically goalie of the year. Him and Shesty kind of go back and forth in headlines as to who's like the best current NHL goaltender. They're in the headlines a lot just because their teams that they're on are making the playoffs consistently, and all of the players are crediting them as the reason why. So basically, they're both here because they're big names in hockey right now.
I really like the name Vasilevsky.
It's fun to say.
It is. I like Russian names.
Mm-hmm.
I like the name Big Cat.
There are actually so many players that are nicknamed Big Cat.
Interesting.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
It's kind of like the English nickname Gaza.
I know that.
I don't
Um,
know
it's it's a nickname. For it's a nickname given to people named Gareth or Gary typically,
that.
Sounds fake.
and they call them Gaza, which is such, I don't know, it's odd.
The next four goalies that I have are all were rookies this past year or were rookies just recently. Like they're younger goaltenders. They're usually backups. Three of them have in common is that they had to carry their team through a stretch of games when the starting goalie was injured. The first one did not have to do that. He is my beloved Joel Hofer, aka Jofer. I don't know why we call him that. This is Jofer. He's wonderful.
I feel like I've seen a picture of him before.
I don't know where you would have seen one.
He looks like that one
Oh.
TikToker, Ryan something, who like used to be
Youth
a youth
Pastor
pastor.
Ryan?
Yes, that's who he looks
So-
like.
The ironic thing is that the Blues invited Youth Pastor Ryan to a game because he's from St. Louis.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah, no, that's who that reminds me of.
And then the video that I have linked for Joel is the time he scored a goal as a goalie in the minor leagues.
Okay.
Nylander from the red line sends it in. Hofer out of his net. He stops it. Hofer looking. Hofer firing toward the empty net. He scores!
Shoot.
Literally.
Are you kidding me?
I just have to let this play out because of what the announcer says.
A goalie goal in the Calder Cup playoffs. It's 5-2 with 3:48 to go. And he's going to lead the high five line. If that doesn't get you fired up, you don't have a pulse.
I love announcers. I love sports announcers so much. If that doesn't get you fired up, you don't have a pulse.
Go ahead.
I really liked. He's gonna lead the high five line.
That's what they do after skaters score goals. They score the goal. They like hug they hug whoever's like on the ice at the time, and then they go to the bench and like lead the high five line.
Hmm. His voice cracked in a way that was really funny to me.
Yeah. Then this next person, this is Joey DeCord. A lot of his teammates call him Dak, I think. He carried the Seattle Kraken through a stretch of games where I think the starting goaltender at the time was Philip Grubauer, and he was injured. So he basically served as a starter for a very long time and got the Kraken to where they were in the season, which was nothing compared to the cup run that they made last year, but it was still like better than I guess people expected them to do with him as their starting goalie. The kit you see him in here on the far right was his Winter Classic setup.
I really like
And
it.
then I do too. I loved the Winter Classic jerseys from this year. They're so crisp. And then the one on the left is just his home game gear.
Also, I love the mascot of the Kraken.
Huh.
Bowie.
Sure.
Bowie is so good. Do you mean the mascot or like their logo? Like, have
Like,
you seen pictures of Bowie?
I have not seen pictures of Bowie, but they're called the Seattle Kraken. And, like, that's just lit.
Which is awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes, they're awesome. So the team like name is usually different from the mascot, at least in hockey. Like
oh,
obviously the Blues, like you can't make a personification of a music genre and then make it a wearable costume, I feel like. So the Blues mascot is a polar bear named Louie because St. Louis.
maybe they can't, but I'm just built different.
The mascot of the Kraken is a troll named Bowie.
Okay.
There's a
Oh, like the bridge
there's a
troll.
bridge. Yeah, there's a bridge
Oh,
in
okay.
Seattle somewhere. I forget which bridge it is. But a troll lives underneath it, and they said, you know what? That troll that lives under the bridge is Bowie, and Bowie's our mascot now. If
I
you've
like it.
ever seen videos of the Flyers mascot Gritty,
Yes.
Bowie is exactly like Gritty.
See, here's the
Just
thing.
chaos incarnate.
Gritty is a national icon.
He is.
Um,
Bowie and Gritty are, yeah.
I need to see a mascot fight of Bowie and Gritty now.
I think they have fought. So at the All-Star game they have a mascot competition. I
Okay.
think that Bowie and Gritty have fought before. They also
That's
shared a hotel room.
that's
But
so good.
we have two more goalies,
Okay,
and then I
Sweet.
will ask you for your goalie picks.
let's do it.
All right. Next we have Joseph Wool, whose nickname is vaguely the Brick Wall or the Brick
Love that.
Wall.
Love it.
He had to carry the Toronto Maple Leafs through a big stretch when, oh gosh, which Ilya plays for the Leafs? Ilya Samsonov was either injured or just bad at his job. Both happened this season. Wooler actually kind of carried them through their playoff appearance. It did not go well. He was injured in like game 6, and then Samsonov had to play game 7, and it did not go well for the Leafs.
Yeah.
But
Just bring in the e-bug.
honestly, get the e-bug in a Stanley Cup game. Honestly.
After we pick goalies, can we each pick one e-bug? Like anyone in the world.
Yes. Yes, you
Sweet.
can.
Cool.
I don't know, fun facts about Joseph Wool, he plays the piano. There's a video somewhere out there of him playing the theme to Interstellar, which I
Okay.
thought was really cool. And he is from Missouri.
It's an A plus right there.
I'm gonna Google his hometown.
I think it's near St. Louis.
Okay.
I think he grew up a Blues fan, but I'm not for sure on that.
Man, imagine growing up a fan of the Blues just to be a Maple Leaf.
Honestly.
I don't know if that means anything to people who like hockey. I mean, it's a sport that I know everything about, but still.
It is very close to St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Joseph Wall, and who is our final contestant?
I want one of you to take a stab at saying that.
Pyotr Kochevkev.
He goes by Coochie.
He does. He does go by Coochie.
Or PK.
Mm-hmm.
It's Pyotr, right? Pyotr?
This is Pyotr.
Pyotr?
This is Pyotr Kochetkov.
Kochetkov.
The pronunciation says Piotr Kochetkov. Kochetkov.
He's so PK speaks very, very little English, but he's a delight. The Carolina Hurricanes is who he plays for currently, and they had all kinds of goalie trouble this season because they ended their contract with their minor league team, their AHL team. So they had nowhere really to consolidate their prospect players.
Mm.
Because usually what happens is you have like your AHL team is where all of your prospects go, unless they are playing in a Canadian league or they're in college. But since the Canes didn't have that this season, they kind of had to spread them out among other AHL teams, other even lower league teams than the AHL, which would be the ECHL and like the SPHL. It was a whole mess. And then getting them called up and getting them back to Raleigh where they play is a whole other mess with travel. So PK was up and down a lot and then held the Canes when their starting goalie got injured. But he was like all over the place as far as teams go this season. But he's wonderful and he has a great personality. And this video that I have of him kind of sums him up pretty well, I think. This comes after the Canes, as the Whalers, won a pretty big game.
Off of Vanacek's initial save on Marty Natchez. What a win! They're going after Kochetkov. He's going into the box.
He puts himself in the penalty box.
He should. Oh man, was his mind sharp tonight, including in the surge. Lost a tooth during the bye week. Looks better even without it.
Was he missing a tooth or two there?
He was missing a tooth. I think he lost his tooth that game or the game before.
Okay.
Wild.
My mind's made
Yeah.
up.
Your mind's made up for
Yeah.
goalies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me get
I
my
get-
DJ
Sorry.
gets
record
first.
up.
DJ gets first.
DJ
though.
goes first.
I say we do a snake draft.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. I take Big Cat. Meow.
Big Cat.
Which one was Big
Vassy.
Cat? Vassy. Dang. That was my first
Vasilevsky.
choice. That was my first choice. So my second choice is Marc-Andre Fleury.
The flower.
The dude.
The dude.
And my second choice is Pyotr Kochetkov.
I love that for you.
I will take Prince Shesty.
Shesty. Shesty and Vassy on the same team is crazy to me. That's like your dream team right there. That is very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, you were like, these are like two of the best of all time or like best in the league right now. It's like, well, I'll see which one I
Yeah.
get.
Marc-Andre Fleury and then Vassy and Shesty are pretty much like within their age range the best in the league at the moment. So
Even though they're super old.
because 28 and 29 is so old. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I did not realize Fleury was like 40.
Oh, cool.
He's 39 in 213 days.
Well, let's go. DJ, who's your e-bug?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
out of everyone in the whole world.
all right. I think I might catch some flack for saying this. I don't care who it is. Pick literally any person off of like that My 600 Pound Life show and put them in the goal, and you've got my pick.
I was
Like-
gonna say Tim Howard.
Yeah, I think soccer goalie skills translate well, but like you get someone who or like the before. No, I'm done. I'm done talking. I think my reasoning is clear, and I don't need to explain it. And if I've offended anyone, I'm sorry. But any one of them, I don't care who it is. I don't even know. I've never watched it. I don't know their names. But pick one, and they're the one I want.
Okay.
You know what? Fair.
I one time was playing in a soccer tournament that was at an Ozark event, and the team that ended up winning,
I remember this.
it was like small goal, so like little tiny goals that we had to shoot the ball into. The team that won just had a really big guy who laid down in front of the goal,
Sometimes that's all you need.
and that was it. Yeah, I mean sometimes it is. Now, can you please remind me who my forwards are?
Gage, your forwards are McJesus,
Yes.
Rathu, and Nate Dogg.
Okay. I remember every other position I picked, but I just couldn't remember those.
Okay.
So, roast us.
Ugh, I have to look at these for a second. Okay. The only rookie that Gage took at all is Pyotr Kochetkov, and he's probably only going to play, maybe 30 out of 82 games for you. So purely based on collective skill, your team is very flat, I think.
Okay.
DJ's team has Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, though. But then also there's the baby, Connor Bedard. I think that's your one and only rookie. You each only took one rookie. That makes this interesting.
Parenko's not that old though.
He's not, but he's not a rookie either.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know.
Don't forget, we could have our e-bugs playing up too.
Tim Howard
Oh no.
versus yeah. Oh. Wait, do you remember the name that was originally given to Waddles in Gravity Falls?
No.
No, I don't.
So in Gravity Falls, Mabel walks up and it's if you guess the weight of the pig, you can win it. And she was like, that one. And he's like, oh, old 15-poundy? She's like, 15 pounds. Old 600-poundy?
So good.
Oh my. I think that Gage has a better defensive pairing.
Mm.
Even though they're both right-handed, I think the fact that you chose them and they've played together and won a cup together is crazy, by the way. But I just think that they get each other because of that. Eric Carlson and Quinn Hughes would have played against each other a lot, but never with each other unless it was for an All-Star game. And even then, I don't think they've ever been on a D pair together for All-Star games.
Mm-hmm.
As West Coast players. The age gap between Marc-Andre Fleury and Pyotr Kochetkov is crazy, by the way. Age 25 and age 39, respectively.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's great for a goalkeeper, though, because you got your starter and your backup.
That is true. I just don't know if, a retiree almost, because Flower did announce this upcoming season is going to be his last season in the NHL. He's retiring at the end of the 2025 season. And I think this was Piotr's first year in the NHL, so you're kind of throwing him off the deep end with that,
That's how men are
which
made.
isn't your fault because you didn't know, but what a better way to learn, right?
That's how I learned to swim.
DJ has the same problem, but with his forwards, because Ovi and Sid are not on their way out, but are about to be on their way out. And then his only other forward is 18 years old.
He's
So
just
it's
a
like,
boy.
he's just a boy. You've accidentally like created two teams that have the same problems but in different positions.
You know, if I could find a way to sum up the dynamics of the teams DJ and I have created, I feel like that's accurate for all of them.
Well, I'm glad that you think that I'm a good judge, or at least that you are a good judge compared to me, that we've come to the same conclusion.
Who would win head on head, you think?
Oh,
Not next
Well-
year. This year.
This year.
this year,
Right
if
now.
if these two teams played in a Stanley Cup final caliber game where it's being reffed, where they're basically not calling anything, I think Gage's team would win.
Sweet.
Okay, what if they're calling things?
If they're calling things, Gage's team loses immediately. You have Matthew Tkachuk. I don't know what you expected.
See,
That man cannot stay out of the box.
here's what I know. He's awful, he's great. That's what I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's funny.
And that's the only metric I needed to want him. He was actually listed as my first pick. But I changed my mind and picked McJesus first. Because
call.
That's super fair, yeah.
And then I picked Nate Dogg because he was the only guy I'd heard of.
Yeah. Out of everyone to have heard of before, Nate Mack he's a pretty good one.
Okay, so mine barely ekes it out if they're not calling anything. DJ wins by a landslide if they are.
If it's a regulation game.
DJ would win on special teams, to be honest.
What does that mean in hockey?
That means like your power play.
Oh, what is?
So
Go another layer deeper.
Explain
Remember
it
when
like
I
I'm
talked about-
5.
remember earlier when I talked about penalty kill, when your team commits a penalty?
Yeah.
If you're on the penalty kill, that means the other team is on the power play
Okay.
by virtue of them still having 5 skaters on the ice.
Yeah, I get it now. Cool.
Okay.
Except his forwards are old, and his defenders are old.
Explain the concept of the number 5.
The concept of the number 5? Hang on, I think I have like 5 keys
The square
in
root
my
of
possession.
25.
Can I show you just 5 keys?
That works.
Does
Deal.
that work? Okay.
Sure.
See, I have 3 keys
Mm-hmm.
on this keychain. And then I have 2 keys on this keychain. So these are your forwards and these are your defensemen.
Aha.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening for Everything But the
what have we
Cats,
learned?
the premier Keys and Numbers podcast. Really the only podcast in this space. So that's us.
It is. Adelaide, do you have final words?
I think that I've been a great teacher today.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Learned a
much.
lot.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. want to give a handful of thank yous. Thank you, Adelay, for joining us. It really has been fun, and you are a good teacher. I enjoyed learning about hockey, and the stories about the players are some of my favorite things because hockey guys just seem like a bunch of dudes being dudes. Um, I think that sounds
That's
accurate.
accurate.
I want to say thank you, DJ, for being my my co-pilot in
Friend.
all of this.
Go back. Yeah.
And my friend. I know that's been hard at times. But I want to say thank you also to our good friends Adam Ward and Jared Scrother for our intro and outro music, respectively. Thank you, listener and watcher, for being here for every part of the road that you've been with us on. And please just continue to be the beautiful, lovely people you are. I don't think I have anything else. DJ, do you have any other words?
Just the words I end every episode with. Go, go! Thank yourselves. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.